Good evening, everyone. This is the Community Preservation Committee meeting of January 15th, 2025. Happy New Year, everyone. We have a bunch of guests tonight and some agenda items that lost the agenda. Some administrative. We did have a set of minutes from November. If everyone had a chance to look those over.
They looked great.
Additions, corrections?
I didn't look at them. I forgot they came in.
I
Sorry.
looked at them, they look.
Yeah, I didn't have any. Thank you, Matt, for fixing those
I
up.
especially like the bold facing of the eligibility requests, the introduction of graphics to them, that's great.
Getting fancy in this retirement, semi-retirement. All right, do we have a motion?
I move we accept the minutes from the Wednesday, November 20th meeting.
I'll second it.
We have a motion, we have a remote person tonight. So Andrew,
Aye.
Bartlett,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Sam,
Aye.
Carolyn's and I, Linda.
Abstain. I didn't read it.
Okay, and Mitt.
Aye.
So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 0, 1. Great, thank you, everyone. I have just a couple of updates. Actually, I'm gonna leave those for later. I did ask for some updated balances, and I haven't heard back from Michelle yet. She said she'd send them to me this week, so when I get them, I'll send them out just to see where we're at. I did sit with Fred Faulkner and Jerry Bertozzi from the Finance Committee last night. Jerry wasn't able to make it to the meeting tonight. She's our finance rep. Just to kind of go over what projects we had so far. That was really what they were concerned about. I have some information on the track, which we can talk about when we get to the budget. Other than that, that was really all we talked. It's just basically a review of what's going on. So that wasn't so bad. We talked about the allocations and how we may need to rebalance those this year. But that was about it. Anyone else have any updates? Or?
I just have a very quick one. I know you guys last meeting were curious as to how much money the Concom has spent from the land acquisition fund that we created last year. So we haven't actually spent any money out of that yet.
Yeah, that answers that. Thank you, Andrew.
No problem.
And Affordable Housing Trust, we're going to need that annual budget report shortly.
I've asked for the, total spent on all up to date, and I haven't heard back.
Okay. Yes, I'm sure they'll ask. Well, we do know it's required.
Yeah,
So.
we have a meeting next week, so we should be
Okay.
able to process that.
Okay, all right, great, thank you. Okay. I have public input, but if there, as we go through the projects, we can discuss things then, unless there's something exciting and interesting anyone has to say. So our first item is the Littleton Historical Society funding application for the Whitcomb Commission, and I have to recuse myself for this. Andrew, do you want someone to do it here, or can you do it remotely?
I'm happy to do it remotely if you'd like.
Yeah, go for it.
Perfect. All right. So as Carolyn mentioned, our first project for tonight is the funding application for the Jonathan Whitcomb Commission. And I can't see the audience, but Andy, I think I saw you in the audience.
Yeah.
Perfect. So last meeting we did go over what the project detailed, essentially the conservation of the document. Did you have anything to add to the board tonight?
No, not really. I was just gonna read the same stuff over again. I mean, it was basically the same as the eligibility form, so
Oh,
Andrew, she submitted the funding application.
This is the funding application which came in after, but it's sort of the same thing. Do you want me to read it?
So yeah, so this is the funding application. So I think we pretty much got the project last time around for the eligibility. Do the board members want to hear the presentation again, or are we satisfied with the information provided?
I don't need to hear it. I
I'm
don't know
satisfied.
whether-
And I think your application was really good, where you showed the document and you translated the document, and it's very interesting.
Susan did that.
Gave the, historic background of the person.
You guys okay?
Perfect. Do any board members have questions for Andy about the funding application?
Pretty clear, I mean.
Perfect. Do any members of the audience have any questions or comments before we perhaps move to a vote? All right. Well, given that,
Yes.
oh,
Well,
yes.
Andrew, let's just get some of the details down so that when it comes to a vote and the vote is over, we have it in the minutes. So this is the funding application for the Jonathan Whitcomb Commission from whom?
That's from the Littleton Historical Society.
And what's the amount?
Let's see. That will,
2,910.
Can you repeat that, please?
3,910.
I
Great.
saw.
No, thank you, sure. That's all. I'm good, Andrew.
Perfect. All right. Saul, did you have any questions or comments about the Historical Society's funding application for the Jonathan Whitcomb Commission Conservation Project?
No.
All right. Well, if there are no further questions or comments, what's the pleasure of the board? Would we like to perhaps take a vote on the application?
I'll make a motion that we approve the application for funding for the commission warrant and for the, which you said.
Perfect.
Second.
All right. It's been moved and seconded. We'll do a roll call vote. Bartlett,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Sam,
Aye.
Linda,
Aye.
Mitt,
Aye.
Saul,
Aye.
and myself. Aye. It's unanimous with one yes.
Thank you, Andrew. That was great.
Oh, thank you.
Karen's
Thank you, Andy.
back now. Yeah, Andy, thank you. And the whole Historical Society. Yeah. Do you want to hear what happened when we were gone?
I think I got the gist.
Good news, yeah.
It better be, okay, thank you, Andy. All right, we'll go on to our next. What are we doing here? Nobody else is coming in here. Next is the Clean Lakes Committee. The first one we have is the still harvesting for Lake Mattawanakie. And we had, great presentation from you, so I think, if nothing else, if you have any changes or anything more to add, but I don't think we need to go over the entire thing again.
Okay, last time you, asked us to, be specific about what our assessment process would be for the, determining whether the neck harvesting was successful. I don't know, so I didn't have much in there on the request for eligibility. I don't know if you wanted to hear how we're gonna go about doing that.
Yes, please.
Okay, so we there's like two kinds of assessments on the effectiveness of the eco harvesting. One is how well did it remove plants in the first place? And the second is what's the longevity to the effect of removing the plants? And so those are two things that we would be working to determine. There's two ways that we're assessing it. We're making use of commercial professional services to do plant monitoring before and after the treatments. We've done this yearly for a while, and we'd be using the same services to do it. But that costs money, and so we're doing it before and after. But then, in addition to that, the Green Lakes Committee and Friends Forge Pond will be doing further frequent assessments throughout next summer and some, after the treatment, and then again the following spring, and into the later in the summer of the following year to see what's the effect of that long term, because that's important. If it is successful at removing plants, but a month later they're back again, then we're not really gaining much, right? The assessments are basically visual observations, and because it's a large area, and the ability to assess it depends on how deep the plants are, the water is dark in Lake Manawakis, that's an issue. And the effect of, how bright it is, how calm the water is, are all effects. There may be some dependence in terms of the effectiveness on, how, on the type of species in a given area. It may work better on some species than others. It may depend on, if it's deeper or shallower, it may work better. It may also depend on how much time the machines spend in a particular area and how they operate. There's different ways to operate. So if we are aware of those kind of differences, we might be able to factor that into. That's more information about how we be doing the assessment.
Now, where's all that information reside? Does that reside with the Clean Lakes Committee? I know that's the hard part with any committee in town, is we don't have like a repository of stuff, but do you keep?
Yeah, we have reports that are, I don't know, we generally, our liaison with the water department, I think, is responsible for maintaining that. And I don't know that it's publicly available. We could, I guess there's no reason why it couldn't be.
Do you have a project page on the town website?
We have, our minutes are there.
Because, you had at the last meeting, you had the maps, something like that posted onto your, maybe create a project page for this and start, because also the result of your, what might be called a study or a, pilot program,
Right.
Everyone will be interested in hearing about it.
That's just the thing, like to carry it on, if all of you guys resign next year and there's a whole new Clean Lakes Committee, then all that's, in somebody's filing cabinet at home unless they recycled it, which,
Right. Yeah.
But that's true, the website's probably the best town repository.
In the planning board, every time there's a project, a project page is created and then whatever documents, hearings.
I get it.
Yeah, so that might be the thing to do.
Yes.
And it also might, this is an excellent, in the application, even if you, this is a great outline of the issue and problem. and,
Mhm.
You know, how you seem to answer pretty much all the questions, the Westford question,
Mhm.
you know, so.
Yeah,
I guess-
even
Yeah,
putting that up there could be.
yes,
useful.
yeah, and you know,
Yeah,
I mean, it's a substantial amount of money and there might be people who are curious.
Yeah. Right.
I'd love to comment on that, as a member of the Wilton Clean Lakes Committee also. There is, great transparency to the process and a lot of opportunity for involvement. That committee meets almost monthly, and there's all the members, that I've seen at work do a lot of homework around it too. So it's a very thoughtful process, and I'm sure that if people wanted more information, they could reach out to people like Dave or John or Leon and also other advocates around town.
Thank you. Any more information? I think we got the,
Not unless you have questions about what we had from, your request.
yeah, I didn't have anything, no, anything.
Okay. And out of curiosity, how deep does the wheel that picks the stuff up go?
So it can go down as deep as, about 3 feet, maybe a little bit more. Normally they run it more like 2 feet.
Okay.
But and they can run at different speeds, right? And in the past, when we've, you know, the earlier studies we've done, we've been so limited in how much of the, how long the treatments were, that they were kind of Russian, you know, and so, it was, not adequate for even covering the area, and then the areas that they covered, I don't think they were as effective as they could have been.
Wasn't as thorough as.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I think, you know, this will be, we really want to be pretty definitive about, you know, is this a useful thing or not? One thing, that we, so like, you know, you could say, well, so if it's successful, then what? I mean, it's expensive, right? How do we do that, right? One of the things we're talking about with the next committee is, you know, if it's successful, if it's useful, I mean, there are problems with herbicides that you know, we don't want to use herbicides on a regular basis. We talked about, you know, we might do one, ahead of the eco harvesting to just kind of knock things down and see. But one of the disadvantages of herbicides is that, you know, it kills the plants, they become part of the sediment, and it still continues to fill up the lake, right? But one of the advantages is that it's pretty cheap, right? So in a way to try to make eco harvesting more cost effective, one of the possibilities would be to, if it's determined to be useful and effective, buy one, and then rather than you know, paying a contractor and bidding it out each year and having that uncertainty, you know, have hire worker to run it in the summer, and there'd be some cost for maintenance and storage, but
Yeah,
it could be
yeah.
cheaper than, you know, than what we're doing right now.
Right, I think you had mentioned that, because I remember talking with, the FinCom members last night, and would there be a possibility of like renting that out to other towns? So there might be some cost savings there, or
Right.
didn't you say there was a town that has already bought one? Is it possible we
Yeah.
could rent it from them?
So that's possible.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right, okay, I know it was someone close by.
But, yeah, the other possibility about having one is that, you know, you could have more time to, you know,
Mhm,
Right.
mhm.
try to be more effective. about
Right, be more
it.
careful.
Yeah.
Alright. Any last questions? Anything from the audience from, yeah, could be Terry.
One letter? Right.
Be fun to be on the lake,
Out on the lake, sure.
pull a fishing line behind you.
It would be very satisfying too, like to pull all that stuff out,
Yeah.
I would think, like
At the end of the day, you can see what you've done.
vacuuming, yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the application for funding.
Second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Bartlett, a second by Linda.
Oh.
Andrew? Oops, Andrew, sorry, did you have something?
Yeah, sorry, Carolyn. Did we want to just specify that this is coming out of the open space bucket?
Oh, yes, yes, open space reserves, from the open space reserves. Mitt, did you get that?
Yeah, Bart moved that the application for funding be granted from the open space reserve.
Reserves. Did we do that for the?
I don't think we
commission?
did actually.
Hmm. Well, we'll figure that out after we. So we have a motion and a second. Andrew,
Aye.
Bartlett,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Sam,
Aye.
Carolyn is an aye, Saul,
Aye.
Linda,
Aye.
and Mitt.
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay, so you guys are set. Well, we'll recommend that to town meeting and we'll see what goes from there, but.
So should we be prepared to talk about it?
I would be prepared, if you want to, you can. I would be prepared for
I mean,
questions.
I don't think we,
Yeah, typically what we do is we just wait and if somebody asks a
Right.
question, then we would ask you to, I mean, I'm not gonna get up there and stumble through it. So,
Yeah.
if someone could be available for that on call,
and we can talk about that ahead of time.
yes.
Yeah, okay.
No, that's-
I don't think we would feel we need to present something, obviously.
Yeah, I'm gonna get these up on our section of the website and let everybody know, so, if they have, they can go look at it, and our meetings, they can watch our lovely
Right,
meetings
yeah.
again, so.
Okay.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks.
Since we just took that vote, I'm looking back at the minutes, and I don't have what Bartlett's motion was. Do you want to
The one that we just did,
know the previous one for the historical commission, Jonathan Whitcomb Commission document?
can we re-vote that? How do we do that, Andrew? How do we do that?
Or help me with the language, and I'll type it in. What do you think, Andrew?
So
Because we
Bartlett,
should make it from the reserves.
We're looking to insert just to like what I heard Carolyn say. I don't want to fudge this. I don't want to make it up at home. I don't want to get it wrong either, but can we get the language down that includes which bucket it comes out of?
so Bartlett, did you make the motion?
I did, I mean, it is from the historical commission budget.
Historic bucket, not the
It
commission.
is the commission, oh, the historic, I thought. Just to move the preservation of the parchment as proposed.
Right, what's the name, Jeremiah?
Jonathan Whitcomb,
Jonathan Whitcomb document.
commission from whatever government entity was operating in 1739.
And can I use the word, verb restoration of,
Preservation.
preservation of? Thank you.
And Mitt, did you get the final vote for that?
Yes.
Yes, it was unanimous by roll call.
Perfect.
There was one abstention.
Without me.
Without Carolyn, yeah.
Can we, what about the reserves, Andrew? Should we re-vote that or can we just?
We could re-vote it if we'd like. If
It's in the application.
Yeah, it is in the application. But
Okay.
if you want, Carolyn.
No, I just want to make sure it's right so that we don't have to wait for July.
Okay, so Andrew, it's your call if we're gonna re-vote it or not. Right now I have Bartlett moved that the committee approve funding for the preservation of the Whitcomb Commission document to the amount of $3,910 to be granted from the historic reserve.
Is that right, Carolyn? Is that the right phrasing?
And then, let's see, would somebody like to do we want to revote it, or do you think it's good like that?
I think it's good like that.
It's
Yes.
exactly what I said.
This is just stalling to let me catch up with the typing, and there, done.
Perfect. Thank you, Mitt.
Thank you, Andrew.
I also should have passed these out first, those three. This is the list. I don't know about you guys, but I was so confused what we had, and I had so much paper flying around that I made a chart of what we've done. Oh, Andrew, I should have emailed it to you. Sorry. A chart of what we've done and what we still needed to approve. So we just did the Whitcomb and we just did eco harvesting. So those are done now.
Thanks for making this chart.
Oh, gosh, it was crazy. We lost it. Okay. So next up we have, the Spec Pond boat launch, which is this a resubmission of the eligibility with the
Eligibility
Yes.
phase and gave me permission to continue on. The only tweak I really have, unless you want to go through the documentation, the only tweak I have is the board was correct that $20,000 was insufficient.
Because what I got from John was a new eligibility request. I don't have a funding request.
Oh, no, he should have passed the funding request. Okay.
So this is like a resubmission for the 30,000. Which is fine. We can do the funding. We still have time. It's not like we
Yeah, there
don't
was
have time,
There
but
was some confusion on as documents were being passed around,
yeah.
but this is the funding request.
Okay. Thank you. So I have funding application on this is why I don't like to be really specific on the agenda, but we do have the funding application, so we can vote on this tonight.
Perfect, that's great.
Yes, and again, the tweak was instead of 20,000, 30,000, it's inflation and COVID adjusted.
How was that?
So TRC is the engineering
Yes,
firm you,
and previously Carl Nielsen was with ESS, but now he's with TRC. And that's a ballpark number. Carl, sometimes could be higher, could be lower,
okay,
but 30,000 he was comfortable with.
okay.
So he's gonna do just what you outlined for us last time.
I have my nice, pretty sloped picture.
Yeah.
This is the only one you liked. If you want copies.
Yeah, does anyone have any questions further? Andrew, I'm sorry, we don't get, it's basically the same, the funding application is the same, except it's got $30,000 now for the.
So really nothing new here that from what we heard last time, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Just the dollars.
Any other questions, since, or?
No, and if there's no questions, I'll move that we approve the application for funding for the Spectacle Pond boat launch engineering study to come from the recreation bucket
Reserve.
reserve.
Second.
Ignore
Oh,
Sorry.
Andrew can have the second. Mitt is frowning.
Thanks. Jeff moved. And Andrew seconded.
Yeah.
Jeff, do you want to restate that, please?
To approve the application for funding for the Spectacle Pond boat launch engineering study from in an amount of $30,000 from the recreation reserve.
Thank you.
So we have a motion by Jeff, a second by Andrew. Andrew,
Aye.
Bartlett,
I
Jeff,
Aye.
Sam,
Aye.
Carolyn is an aye, Saul, Linda,
Aye.
and Ned.
Aye.
Unanimous. All right, you're all set as well. And the same applies. Just be ready for questions and hopefully you don't get any. Okay. All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Leon.
Thanks, Laura.
Okay, good. Who's up next? Littleton Historical Commission also added to the confusion.
Yes, I know.
So we have, you're replacing two, and then the consultant for 12 Robinson Road, we're all done, we've done all that, and that's staying it is. But the Nagog Hill Orchard and the Durkey Farmhouse, you're going to submit different applications for us.
So I sent out the eligibility application, everyone can see that.
I have copies if anyone wants a copy.
So,
These are the.
so the reason that I'm doing this is when I submitted these two applications last month to the committee and you reviewed them and recommended them for approval, I had very little information about what was going to happen with these two projects back then. Mostly what I submitted last month was follow-up consultations with our historic preservation consultant, just so that we can continue to talk to her and get her input on whatever was to come. However, since that time, actually very recently, I have gotten more information on both of these projects. So I'm resubmitting those. I want to replace the ones in December with these two applications. The one for Nagog Hill, the information that I've gotten since then is that the town is in the process of leasing the land to a leasee, someone who's going to put the land in agriculture. My understanding is he or she, I don't know who it is going to use container farming only. And that person has expressed to the town that he or she is interested in possibly leasing, maybe buying, I don't know which actually, leasing or buying the main house and the two barns. So this is new information. So since I've gotten that information, I'm putting in a more detailed eligibility request tonight to use our historic consultant to help the historical commission survey the barn, the two barns. The commission has already surveyed the main house with our consultant. We used Littleton Historical Commission town funds to do that. But we're looking to survey the two barns and get them put into the MACRIS database, which is really the first step in moving towards preservation. And then after we do that, we want to use the historic preservation consultant to help us write preservation restrictions for all three of the structures, meaning the main house and the two barns. So that's what's before you tonight.
So we take away our vote from last meeting.
Yeah.
This is just a more,
This is more detailed work.
and is the same thing for is that just for, are we just talking now about the Nagog Hill Orchard, but we also have the Durkey Farmhouse, is the same thing? Would that be gotten further information? Okay.
Yes. So the request tonight is for more money than last month. For the Nagog Hill Orchard, it's $3,253 out of the historic reserve.
That's the old one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Shoot. Thank you. That's the old one.
That's why I have my chart.
Yeah.
Right.
The new, oh, it's on your chart.
Yeah,
The new one is $6,481.
that's Durkey.
Turkey.
Oh, my goodness.
Try again. 6,823. You want a copy?
You want the number?
No, I got it now. 6,823. It's the request for the Nagog Hill Orchard work.
Any comments or questions from? Anything from the audience?
In terms of the restriction that would be put on it. Is it, what do we know? We don't, I guess we don't know yet what we're trying to preserve or.
No, no, and in this eligibility request, it mentions that our historic preservation consultant and me would do a site visit and to the house. Well, she already did the house, but to the two barns. We haven't gotten into the interior of the house yet. We don't know if we'll be able to because of the mold issue. But once she sees the barns, which she hasn't looked at yet, the interior and the exterior, then we can come up with what we would like to be in the preservation restriction. And this has to be worked out, the owner has to agree to this, or the leasee, or, well, the owner, either the town. Yeah, the owner is the, right, town, or if this person is interested in buying it, it would have to, we would have to come to, we both have to sign the agreement.
Yeah, okay. So the town will.
The town could put the conservation restriction on, the historic preservation restriction on it as the owner prior to sale, couldn't they?
Yes,
And the opposite, and then Durkee, the work done in advance is on spec, because we don't know if the owner would sign it. Is that correct?
And
yes,
so the owner has to agree to the preservation restriction?
well, they have to sign it.
It gets recorded in the land deeds,
This was the process at 12 Robinson.
Yeah, it was, right.
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah, but that was, I guess that's a slightly different. That was bought with the purpose of preserving it, right?
Not necessarily. I mean, it was significantly developed there. What you did in that case was you determined what aspects of the structure were to be preserved, but it wasn't the entire structure.
Right, and we talked a lot with the owner about it.
The previous of the town.
With the new owner.
but to make the historic preservation restriction, that was done way
Before it was,
years before.
the preservation restriction had to be part of the sale, the closing. So we wrote it first. And then,
There were two closings. The town bought the property
right,
on, just to preserve it. And then put a deed restriction on it. And then sold it.
Yes, I mean, more or less.
more or less.
And these two before us, the town already owns the properties, so the first, we don't have to buy the properties. And so this is the time to put the restrictions on them. This process is, I know you've done something on the Durkee farmhouse, but maybe there's not much to preserve, I guess, is what, this is to determine. I think that so much, Littleton at some point was basically 20 farms. And to lose anything of that that's still existing would be really too bad. And Nagog especially, I can't, in my view, I can't imagine the town selling these structures to the person who operates the orchard, who may only be operating the orchard for 5 years or 10 years or, whatever. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
So without a preservation restriction on any structure, there is no guarantee that it would not be demolished in the future unless it was in a historic district. And at current time, Littleton has no historic districts. So the preservation restrictions are really the only real protection inside of historic districts.
And it could be not as onerous as it sounds.
No,
I think preservation restrictions, we can't paint the house red, but that's
Right.
obviously.
No, that was not my direction. I'm actually just slightly puzzled that the owner has to agree to it.
Well, yeah, no, that wasn't quite correct on my part, because we write it first. We write it before the owner sees it, we show it to the owner, and then we work with the owner to be as flexible as possible. For instance, at 12 Robinson Road, we had some deviations from the preservation restriction, but we allowed those, we approved those, that they can't deviate from it unless we approve deviations, and we did allow a number of deviations at 12.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to wrap my head around the
Yeah.
process but if you had a building that was historical, but the owner had no interest in preserving it, can you still put a preservation restriction on it?
Not if it's currently in private ownership.
Okay.
It's only if the town is selling it,
Unless there's a district.
Unless there's a-
right, unless it's in the district.
And I went before town meeting in 1995 to establish a district in the Wilson Common. And I think we got 64% of the vote,
Out of the 6680,
Yes,
67.
It was, people were surprised at the level of support for it because most of the town residents had that.
Can't paint my house blue, Okay, so we have the eligibility before us.
Bartlett, do you want to say something?
The same thing to do it.
Oh, good.
I move we accept the eligibility request from the Historical Commission for $6,823 for a historical preservation survey of
consultant.
consultant for Nagog Hill Farmhouse and 2 barns.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Sam, a second by Bartlett. Andrew,
Aye.
Bartlett,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Sam,
Aye.
Carolyn's and I, Saul,
Aye.
Linda,
Hi.
and Mids.
Aye.
Unanimous, okay, so you go ahead with that.
Okay, then the second one is to the Durkee Farmhouse, similar situation back in last month in December. I didn't have much information about what was going to happen to it. And then very recently, I got information that, that the select board has asked the historical commission to review and start revising the RFP that was developed for 12 Robinson Road for the Durkee Farmhouse and barn, only the historic preservation aspects. We obviously wouldn't do the affordable housing aspects. So that is in this new eligibility request that was not in the original one last month. And then similarly to the Dog Hill Orchard, we would then want to hire the historic preservation consultant. Well, first we wanted to hire her to help us review and revise the RFP. And then we want to hire her to write preservation restrictions, or 1 preservation restriction or 2 for the house and the barn, in collaboration with the Affordable Housing Trust, who owns the site. And that wasn't in last month's submission because I didn't know about the select board was going to ask us to review the RFP and the preservation restriction is part of the RFP that we're reviewing and revising. So that is something we will have to do as part of the RFP.
Bartlett, do you have anything to add as the Affordable Housing Trust rep?
I have mixed feelings about preserving that building.
I
But I think that what I saw at the Robinson Roadhouse is enough flexibility in that kind of a document that we can, if in general terms, the building is salvageable, we can work with the historical commission to keep what's necessary and to do what other things are necessary to make it into acceptable housing.
Right.
So I'm in favor of this.
Yeah, our consultant and I feel that, you know, we could be flexible about what would be preserved. There may be some members of the commission that feel more, you know, more strict about it, but we can certainly have that discussion and come to an agreement.
Anything from the audience? Andrew, did you have any questions?
No questions.
Does the age of the building have anything to do with the intensity of the preservation restriction?
Not necessarily. I think, you know, if it's from the 1700s or the 1600s, I think, you know, we take it more seriously, but those buildings are often in bad shape if they haven't been taken care of all these years. So the informal standard is anything greater than 50 years old. But, you know, 1800s, you know, it's often what we're looking at.
So we now have experience using these restrictions. Would we have done Hager Homestead differently if we had had this experience?
I think so,
This is my point,
yes.
because we accomplished a little bit, but not as much as we could have.
But who owned, but the issue about Hager, I believe,
Oh, we never owned it.
we never
Right.
owned it. It was from
Yeah.
a private sale,
Yeah,
private to private.
yeah,
So I don't know.
yeah, we couldn't have really done anything.
However, I would have been more aggressive as a commission saying, look, you should look at A, B, C, and D. Or just, we could have hired a historic consultant
Yeah.
to say these things really should be preserved and.
Right. I mean, maybe that would have been the method, is to just insert a historic, I mean, that community, I think, would have gone along with it.
Mm,
Yeah,
Early on, you know.
yeah.
early on.
Anyway, so I think this method is sort of, developed, into a very useful tool.
And I just have to say that historic consultant we have is just invaluable. Yeah, so
Okay.
I'm sure others would be too, but she's really great.
Okay. Do you want to cut and paste here? Sam, you want to? Mitt, are you ready to
Sure. Did hear a motion from
hear a
Sam
motion from Sam?
about the eligibility request.
Oh, yes,
6481.
yes.
I make a motion that we accept the eligibility request of the Historical Society
Commission.
Commission to hire a historic preservation consultant for Turkey Farmhouse and Barn.
From the historic reserve.
From the Historic Reserve,
In the amount of
$6,481.
I second.
It's frowning again.
Just, it sounds like an application for funding. This is the eligibility. request?
Eligibility.
I only submit eligibility and have time for the funding. Next month, I will definitely bring the funding to this committee.
Is it okay? Can I abbreviate and just say it was moved by Sam that the eligibility request for the project be approved? And then let's use the
You can
language.
just use the title, use the
I'll use the title.
project title.
Yeah, and as to be approved as historic,
From the Historic Preservation Reserve.
but it's not about the money, it's about the.
Oh, yeah, you're right,
Yes.
you're right, that's right. Told you I'm confused.
That the project be approved as historic.
As historic, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. That's right. Do we have a second?
I second.
Jeff, second. Andrew,
Aye.
Bartlett, Jeff,
Aye.
Sam.
Aye.
Carolyn is a yes. Saul, Linda,
I,
and Nick.
Aye.
Thank you. All right. go forward with those. All right, we got more to come. Thank you, Linda. Andrew, we should mention that we have a cemetery commission meeting that was called to order.
Yes. So, as Carolyn just mentioned, the two of us do make up a quorum of the cemetery commission, and since we're discussing cemetery business, we have both boards currently in session to consider the eligibility and funding requests for this particular project. And Carolyn, did you want me to jump right into it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Perfect. So, did you guys have a chance to see the eligibility and funding requests that I sent a couple of weeks ago?
Yep. I did.
Perfect. So essentially, the Cemetery Commission and Historical Commission are once again jointly filing these requests. We're seeking $9,950 for a fifth phase of gravestone preservation work at Westlawn Cemetery. We're very appreciative of the funds we've received so far for the work. And if you guys take a look at the funding application, you can see, over the last 4 years or so, the amount of gravestones that we've been able to professionally preserve and conserve. And it's really just a great project. And we're looking to do a fifth phase beginning this summer, shortly after the conclusion of our fourth phase, which is currently ongoing. And we're just really looking to keep the project going concurrently, and yeah.
And it's being noticed. We had a Facebook, someone who was walking through Westlawn and said, asking, are they new stones? Are they being replaced? And so we were able to say, no, it was, your tax dollars that helped do the restoration. So that was nice to hear. Someone's noticed.
How do you decide which stones? It sounds like you identified a large number of stones, and then how do you decide from that number, which ones to work on?
Yes. So Jeff, there were 247 gravestones identified initially in that assessment that was performed, and within that assessment, they were graded. Some were, top priority. Some were, secondary category for preservation. So what we essentially do each year is we take those really top tier, really rough shaped gravestones, and we select a grouping. And then we pick from that group, 18 to 20 and change, and our consultants work with that, and that's essentially how we do it.
Andrew, is it true? I think it's true that our consultants, who are very wonderful professionals at restoring gravestones, I think they prioritized the list. Is that correct? I think they did. And then we were going down their prioritization list.
Yeah, so essentially that's the assessment list. So within that list, we have the category 1 and 2 gravestones, and they typically come to us and say, hey, of these ones, we've got 20 that we could do. Do you have any specific requests for this phase from that list? So we've just been chipping away at it, and after this fourth phase is done, we should have roughly almost 60 gravestones conserved. So it's really impressive.
Work. Any other questions?
No, sounds great, Andrew and everyone. I've seen the work too, and I love that it got comments from the public that you heard, Carolyn.
Anything from the audience? All right, so for this one, we have the eligibility, which I don't know if we even need to do those anymore because it's the same, but we do have eligibility for this project. A motion for that?
I move we approve the eligibility request for the West Lawn Cemetery Gravestone Monument Preservation. Do you want to call it phase 5?
Yes.
to be funded through the Historic Preservation Reserve. And do we mention the amount in an eligibility request? If
No,
we
just-
do, it's $9,950.
I'll second.
All right, are you okay?
Yeah,
Okay, we have
Wonderful, thank
a motion by Jeff, a second by Bartlett. Andrew?
Aye.
Bartlett?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Sam?
Aye.
Carolyn is a yes. Saul?
Yes.
Linda?
Aye.
And Mitz?
Aye.
Unanimous, okay, and funding? The funding request now?
I so move for to approve the application for funding for the aforementioned project to come from the Historic Preservation Reserve in the amount of $9,950.
I'll second.
Moved by Jeff and seconded by Bartlett. Andrew?
Aye.
Bartlett?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Sam?
Aye.
Carolyn is a yes. Saul?
Yes.
Linda?
Aye.
And Mitz? Great.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. And we adjourn the cemetery commission. I gotta take notes because I'm the secretary.
Yes, motion to adjourn the cemetery meeting.
Okay, adjourned. Okay. All right. Spending all kinds of money tonight. Good. So Bartlett, you had mentioned, I put the Affordable Housing Trust just in case.
Right, I did not have a number.
Okay, that's
The
fine.
goal, we were awarded $90,000 last year, and I'm trying to find out how much we've spent. And then we can recoup that, so we stay at 90,000. We've also, as a Affordable Housing Trust, has voted to increase the number of slots for people. It has been 15, and we've been fairly consistently around 13, but the Human Services thinks that the number of eligible people is going to increase, so we voted to increase our number of slots from 15 to 20. So we may actually try to fund 20 slots instead of 15 slots at the rate that we got last year. But we haven't voted on that, and it's up in the air.
Okay.
That's for rental system? Is that what we're talking? Okay.
Yeah. Littleton's rental assistance. And we have increased the rental assistance. It started off at $250 and now it's $500 a month paid directly to the landlord. So we actually have landlords applying to be in that program. So,
How does that work for the landlord? Does he,
well, he just wants to, he tells EHS that he's wants to be on the
Willing
list. So
to-
if somebody
okay.
applies rent there, then it's gonna be an easier,
oh, okay.
I mean, EHS can do whatever they do when the landlord is in place,
Interesting.
because without that, we have to, during sometime, before or after the lease is signed, EHS has to bring the landlord on board that
Okay.
he's only gonna get part of the rent from the tenant and part of the rent from EHS, from the town. Which is, I mean, it's a pretty good deal. Town is more secure than most
That's true.
tenants, but having bills,
That, yes, good.
AAA rating.
I fell behind a little bit on the minutes. Are we, what is the agenda item that we're discussing now?
Affordable Housing Trust potential project or projects. We had applications, but we don't have any. So, but it was just kind of filling us in as to why.
Affordable Housing Trust, what was it?
Nothing specific.
Projects.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And I heard what you said. I've got notes on that. Thank you, Marlon.
There will be a proposal coming from us to fund the Littleton Rental Assistance Program, LRAP.
Great, yeah. And you made it onto, Carolyn's bingo card.
Yeah.
But we can't put a check mark there. If people are keeping score, you could put a Y at the top right here, 2 spots.
Yes,
Cool.
yes. All right, the next agenda item, Andrew had asked to be put on, talking about, frog ponds and what your potential project is there.
Yeah, so I actually just wanted to update the committee tonight that I will be ever so slowly moving forward with eligibility and funding requests for the walkway improvement project over at the Frog Pond, as well as the invasive plant control project over there. I've got a couple of companies working on getting me quotes to get some dollar figures, and then the next step will be for me to bring those applications back to the Concom. We're going to review them. And I'm hoping to get them on for our February meeting agenda. But if not, I did find out today that the warrant will be closing March 24th. So
Mhm.
whether they're on the February agenda or the March, there should be plenty of time for those to go forward.
Yep. Sounds good. It's still typing. I guess that's okay. So just some budget items, I had mentioned, talking with the FinCom members, and I got an email from Steve Venuti. We had Mark Rombacher had come in to talk about the track, refurbishing the track and possibilities of them coming to us for some money. I guess the school department is offering to pay $120,000 for the track. They have some money in one of their line items. And then they also have the $40,000 donation that Mark had mentioned that's sitting there on a line item. So that's $160,000, which Mark was hoping might be the cost of the project. So what Steve Venuti has said is that they will deposit that money into CPA so we can have that as blended funds, and then they will come in for a project on the track. So for us, it will be a net, hopefully close to net zero anyways. So the school committee is gonna foot the bill. So
The majority of it.
the majority of it. And then the 40, and then if the track group puts anything together, they'll also wash that through the CPA. So that was good to know. And then he is also going to give us $281,846 from the town as a deposit into CPA for matching funds. He doesn't have here if that's earmarked for anything, so I'm not sure, but these are just beginning discussions, so.
So this is in addition to the state grants. So.
In addition to the town money.
In addition to, well, sorry.
It will go to the state. but-
And then it comes back to us,
Right.
but this is in excess of that.
Yes, the blended
And
funds.
Is there any, quid pro quo about projects
Well,
involved with that?
That's
or-
what Steve didn't mention. We
Okay.
know we have that, so, the amount that we get will be $441,846, which is about 1%. So they're, doubling what we have. But I don't know what they want to do with that 281. Whether we can do with it as we please, or whether it will be earmarked for some capital items, but
Either way.
we'll find out.
Okay.
But they kind of upheld what they said they were going to do, so that was nice. Nice to hear.
You must be smiling.
Yeah, somebody else, well, hopefully we can use it. And so in February, we should probably vote our allocations in. as Andrew said, our March meeting is before the warrant closes, but by days. So I'd rather do it in February if we can. So start putting your, ammunition together. We had talked about maybe moving more into recreation because we had so many large recreation projects, but if the track is off the table. And now, I mean, historic, we were saying, we don't never spend any historic funds and now we're spending more. We're finding more things
Well,
to
we
use.
may very well put big chunks of money into Turkey and or Nagog Hill, depending on how these projects go forward.
Or a historic bridge.
A bridge.
Yeah. There's one there too. There's lots of historic stuff to do, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Which historic bridge are you trying to do there?
but
Porter
the
Road?
neighborhood.
Is it the one on Porter?
That's it.
Yeah.
No, yeah, the Porter Road, that's been on the
Porter.
Porter Road.
It's not
Between
on the
Whitcomb and-
roadway, but it's next to the roadway, yeah. There's also one in the conservation area off of Hartwell,
Yeah, the stone.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, the causeway in back of the police department.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, does that need any work?
Good, I worked on it, but
And then there's
Ooh.
the long store,
Oh,
God.
which is allegedly stored somewhere, but I
It's
either.
stored.
you know it.
It's in a
I mean,
trailer.
could we install that on Nagog
Oh,
Farm?
that would be awesome.
Nagog
That'd
Orchard?
be cool.
That is a very interesting idea.
It's a store.
It will be a
And we have some
long.
money at the moment.
A whole unit of dirty stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
If you need any,
It's affordable housing unit.
yeah, if you need any nice old wood, we got some. Yeah, we get a, that's always on the port, the thoughts of.
story is long, it's more.
It is a
I
long-
think that's before my time, but I'm sure you go about the long store all the time.
Yeah,
Right, doesn't.
I think I was in town, but
yeah, was that 2012, right?
I don't even remember
I
what
think
year
it
it
was
was.
2012.
Probably hear about it from Sherry because she got considered in the irrigation.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, it
Well, it was pretty deep.
was.
Yeah, but they saved some cool stuff.
Yeah.
I remember that project and I was really skeptical.
So,
I love it. when
Linda,
you
let's
look
find a
on the
place,
outside.
let's
There's
find
a
a
lot
place
on the
to
inside that they
re-erect
saved.
it.
That would be great. I mean, we gotta do something with it
Yeah.
eventually. I'm also afraid they're gonna tell us to get that, the final resting place, the container on. All right, does anyone
They
else?
combined it on with 12 Robinson Road.
I know, we,
Maybe we can combine it with the new, Shaker Lane School, you know.
something old, something new,
Yeah.
something borrowed, something blue, yeah.
For the kids who were playing hooky.
Yeah. Be the truant officers. All right, so that was all I had on the agenda. I don't know if there's anyone help, anything, any last. Like I said, I'll be getting the balances hopefully this week and I'll send those out just so people have an idea of what's going on. Our next meeting would be, Mr. Rounds, you have a.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
sure.
Trevor Rounds, 25 Juniper Road. I just want to say thank you to all of you. Some specifics. I think I keep on being amazed as I go from one meeting to another, but yours is similar to experience. I'm amazed at the breadth of knowledge that members on our committees throughout town, like yours, bring to the table. Specifically, I just want to comment on how I think your questions and the eligibility with regard to Clean Lakes a month or two ago with regard to tonight, your aspect of asking about assessments, but also you're asking tonight about how are you preserving your documentation and so forth. It's wonderful. I think this iterations between the groups does a great deal for residents to preserve the responsibilities that you have, but also the work of the people that come before you. So I thank you for that. I also want to acknowledge Andrew because I think his work on Frog Pond, that he'll take action next meeting, is really commendable. So I know it's well received in the local community. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
Appreciated,
Good
much
job.
appreciated. Let's see. Let me find the calendar. So February 19th would be the third Wednesday. School vacation week, I don't know if that matters to
Yeah.
anybody.
Questionable,
Cool,
but
okay,
I don't know right now.
okay. Well, we'll go ahead with February 19th. All right. Anything last things?
It's still interesting that some people consider the CPC presenting these projects.
Yeah, yeah,
That we generate.
Yes.
yeah.
It's-
No, we're not really spending the money. We're enabling people to spend the money. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, and I'm gonna send these off to Ryan, what we've done, just to start. It's just gonna be like a cascade, everything now, from now to the town meeting, so we'll start getting those done. All right, so February 19th is the next meeting. Any last requests before we get into adjourn? We have a motion?
February 19th.
Yeah.
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
We have a motion to adjourn from Saul, a second from Linda. Andrew?
Aye.
Bartlett? Jeff?
Aye.
Sam? All right, Carolyn is yes, Saul?
Yes.
Linda?
Yes.
And Mick?
Yes.
All right, thank you to our audience.